to Suarez. Goodell comes running in. He's under it, makes the catch. Here's the throw to the plate. It's in the air. He is out! Cameron Rick hangs on! Oh, man, what a play! Deep to right field. Way up there, and way second
And welcome back to the Stupid Money Podcast. We have a lot to get into because the last time we spoke, the Phillies were, we believe, 13-13. We can't remember. We think we recorded right before the Astros series on Friday, though, and that got off to a really good start, actually, as the Phillies won the first two in Houston before losing a close one on Sunday night to finish off the series, so they couldn't get the sweep, but took 2 out of 3. Looked really good. The pitching looked really good. And then they went to LA and looks like they never pitched before in their lives. Every single pitcher on the team, as they gave up 36 runs in 3 games. And then they came home, played Boston, and Boston like singled them to death the first 2 games, it felt like. And then finally they got them the last game. So after all that, the Phillies were 15-13, beating the Astros the first 2 games. And they went on a 6-game losing streak and then salvaged the last game against Boston. So at the end of the day, they are 16-13. So it was a 3-6 stretch since we last spoke. So yeah, a little bit of good, I guess, in the Astros series, and then a lot of bad after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, out of the whole stretch, the Astros series is really good to see, but the Dodgers series was disheartening because I don't think the Dodgers was that good. And like the Red Sox, when they came to Philly, they were hot on an 8-game win streak or whatever, 6-game win streak. So you played a hot team with a really good offense. They lead the league in doubles. They lead the league in hits. So like your pitching, even though the pitching's been really bad, like you expect to get hit around against a good offense. Mm-hmm. I just don't think the Dodgers are very good, and to give up 36 runs in 3 games against them, like they have Betts, they have Freeman, Will Smith's back healthy, and he's been pretty good since he's been back from injury. But like Jason Hayward hits in the top 5 for that team, and you're giving up 36 runs in 3 games. Like that just can't happen if you want to compete, especially in our division.
Yeah, I mean, it's still the Dodgers, but it does not feel like the Dodgers we saw from pretty much 2013 to last year. Really, it does seem like they've lost a lot of the ammo they had. So yeah, it was disheartening to give up that many runs. The guys at the back of the rotation looked like back of the rotation guys, which was pretty ugly. Walker, trying to figure out who pitched. Yeah, Walker pitched the first game, and he
gave up 8 hits and 8 runs.
Yeah, he got lit up pretty bad. He gave up 8 runs in less than 4 innings. Gave up 3 home runs, which that's gonna do it when you give up that many home runs in less than 4 innings. So that was pretty ugly. The following game, Strom kind of got lit up for the first time.
Yeah, that was his worst worst appearance since he's been with us.
Yeah, only 3 1/3, 4 runs. I don't know, not terrible. 1 walk, no home runs allowed. Just didn't get it done. And then the back of the bullpen kind of blew up in that game too. Soto got kind of unlucky in an inning with a lot of stuff dropping. And then the final game of that series is the one I really hate because they get out to a quick 5-0 lead, and I'm like, okay, if they could just salvage this game, it's a 3-3 road trip against the Astros and the Dodgers, and there's not a single mad person in the fan base. They go home 500. Everyone takes that. 5-0, and Nola just kind of Nola's it a little. I guess he wasn't awful, but 6 1/3, 4 runs allowed. It's just when you get that 5-run lead with the ace, you don't want the game to get interesting, and he just let them back into it. And then Alvarado got really unlucky with what happened. Sosa probably should have caught that ball. Literally looked like it went right through his glove. And then The offense comes back and ties it in the 9th, and I'm like, well, they tied it, but I felt like they needed the lead. And Kimbrel comes in the bottom of the 9th and gives up a grand slam, and that's that. That was just, to me, that was the worst loss of the year. It really felt that way, just from Nola blowing a 5-run lead, and then kind of your two big guns in the bullpen giving up runs. I know Alvarado, it wasn't totally his fault, but it was, to me, that was just an ugly game.
Yeah, and I'll take partial blame. I consider myself to be a jinx, and when it was like the 4th or 5th inning and the Phillies were still winning, and like I watched the whole Dodgers series, and I texted my friend, and I'm like, I just realized like we missed Miguel Rojas. Like he wasn't hurt, or he was hurt, he wasn't playing. I'm like, we missed him. Like we finally beat the Miguel Rojas allegations where he just hits like he's like a career like 440 hitter against the Phillies, like whatever, for no reason. And then all of a sudden he walks up in the 8th inning. I'm like, there was never a doubt in my mind. He was hitting like 150, and the first fastball Alvarado throws him at 100. Of course, he just barrels it for a single, and that's what started the rally against him. So, of course, it was that guy that did it. Yeah. It was always, and then in the 9th, to lead off the 9th, Turner hits a chopper and he pulls this barehanded on the run play out of nowhere. And of course he did. He's always out to get the Phillies, and he always does it successfully. So yeah, it was a frustrating loss, and then him being kind of the catalyst was just the cherry on top of a pretty bad series.
Yeah, it was not fun to watch. The first two games against Boston were not fun to watch. I guess the one thing though, I guess I buried the lead here, but Bryce Harper came back on what day would that have been? Tuesday. Tuesday came back after getting cleared on Monday. I thought it was going to take him a while to get going. And the first game he came back, he was not good. He didn't get a hit, struck out a couple times. And then very next game, he's 3 for 3 with a couple walks. They come back home and he hits a home run and he has a double or two. I know he had at least one double, but he ends up now in 19 at-bats. He's hitting 368 with an OPS over 1,000. Very small sample size, but the fact that he's gotten going this quick is really amazing after he only missed 30 games when we thought he was going to miss 70 to 100.
Yeah, he's just like, I don't even know what to say at this point. He's basically just a machine. Like you can, and they were talking about it, how this might be like the new normal to say for like people to skip rehab starts and just go about like not needing like as many like ramp up at bats against in a real game situation. I don't know if it could be the norm because like there are obviously a lot of superstars in the league, but like I just think that Bryce is just wired differently. Like I don't know what it is, but he's just gotten to the point where, in my mind at least, it's like no matter what, like there's just nothing that he's incapable of. Like he's just a different type of player.
It does feel that way. He does keep himself in like extremely good shape. I don't think he like drinks alcohol or caffeine or anything either, which obviously will help your body kind of, regain strength and stay up to max, immune system, whatever you want to say. But yeah, I guess that helps. But yeah, he definitely is wired differently than all these other guys. Just the injuries we've seen him come back from when they've looked, I mean, pretty much had 2 season-ending injuries last year, and he ended up, the Phillies would have won the World Series. He probably would have been MVP of the World Series and pretty much MVP of the playoffs, it felt like. So the fact that happened, like he's out of his mind. They needed him back. He's DHing full-time right now, and apparently he's going to play first base when he's allowed to do some throwing. So we'll see how that goes. It'll put Bohm back on third, which will probably help things. I mean, Sosa kind of hit or miss on defense right now. So
I think he's such a good defender up the middle, but I just feel like he's been brutal at third. Like that ball in the Dodgers game, the last game of the series that you talked about, Alvarado getting unlucky. Like he just whiffed on it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's too fast for him over there. I think up the middle you gotta have a little more reaction time than third base. So I don't know. Maybe that's it. It does feel like though at times that it's a little fast for him over there.
Yeah.
So I do have the stats so far. These are not just the NL. This is the entire Major League Baseball, obviously, as there's a couple ranked in the 20th here. So this team kind of makes no sense in a way because they hit a lot. They get on base at a decent amount, but they don't score runs, even though they're 7th in slugging, 6th in average, 3rd in hits. That doesn't make sense there. The ERA is bad. The WHIP is bad, but they're not that bad when it comes to hits. They're middle of the pack. They're actually not allowing that many home runs. 18th in home runs allowed is actually good because the numbers were counting like from most allowed down. So being 18th isn't bad. Walks also middle of the pack, striking out a lot of guys. Batting average against, not terrible either. I don't understand where the problems are with this team, why they're giving up so many runs and why they're not scoring more runs, because when you look at this, it should be the complete opposite.
Yeah, I mean, as far as pitching goes, I mean, you say it a lot as far as just like texting back and forth, but they're allergic to shutdown innings.
Oh, they are.
And it's just like every time the offense actually scores runs, the pitchers go out and lead off walk. So it seems like the walks are kind of middle of the pack, but when they do walk guys, the opposing offenses are very opportunistic about when they score. Like our staff doesn't give up a lot of home runs, but it seems like whenever there's a guy on, they come around to score fairly often, so the ERA inflates just because when the guys do get on, few and far between, whether it's a walk or a hit, middle of the pack, they score often, so the ERA jumps up pretty quickly.
Yeah, the other thing is that I don't think is helping the pitching. They're dead last in baseball in double plays turned at 17. And on the flip side, the Orioles, who are off to a really good start, have 37. You can't tell me that doesn't count for something. They just are not turning double plays, which is weird because you have a couple contact pitchers. I know Nola strikes guys out, but primarily he's been known as a contact guy throughout his career. Falter definitely is. Taijuan Walker is. So to not be getting these double plays is really hurting them. And, you get Ranger Suarez back this week, another ground ball guy. Are you going to start getting more double plays with him, or is the same problem going to happen? Is that going to hurt him if he's not getting as many double plays? Because I do feel like that is a huge problem for them.
Yeah, and I think that causes a lot more stress on the pitcher as far as, one, you're in innings longer, but then you're having to make more pitches with guys on, whether it's you get the ground ball and you get the force out at second, or if you only have the play at first, then you have to make stressful pitches with the guy in scoring position. And as we've seen early on, our guys haven't, especially in like just talking about it, they've been open about saying that the pitch clock's been a really big adjustment with guys on. And it's a while ago, and they should make adjustments by now. But going back to the Texas series, Wheeler and Nola said, and JT even, they said that they've never felt more rushed on a field. So those stressful pitches with the new rules, I don't think they're making the pitches that they want to make in situations where there's guys in scoring positions, and that ends in a lot of 2-out hits with guys in scoring position, which lead to RBIs when we should be at innings.
Yeah, and I definitely agree with that, because when these guys are getting rocked, it doesn't feel like they're giving up 1 or 2 runs in 4 or 5 different innings. It feels like there's one inning where they're giving up 4, and then maybe another inning, you give up 2 later. But it's not that they're constantly getting roughed up. It just seems like there's one big inning, and most of the time it's when the leadoff guy gets on. And I know, look, like when a leadoff guy gets on, he most of the time scores, but it's not just him scoring, it's 2 or 3 guys after him. So I do feel like the pitch clock is playing a role, because I feel like the Phillies have had a lot more big innings against them than we've seen in the past. Maybe it's just I'm thinking that way, but it does feel that.
Yeah, and even more specifically, go in and look at the box scores. I was looking at them a little bit this weekend. It seems like a lot of times it's, in general, the 4th inning when the leadoff guy or the top of the order, whether it's 1, 2, 3 or 2, 3, 4, come back around. That's when the mass innings are. And then they go one, like Falter the other night, he perfect through 3, and then all of a sudden the fourth inning comes back and he gives up a 5 spot. Like once they get back to the top of the order through the second time, it seems like that's where a lot of the struggles lies. And I don't know how they go about fixing that. I don't know if they have to switch up their sequencing or just execute better when the top of the order comes back around. But that seems to be where one of the biggest issues is.
Yeah, it does seem like the fourth inning. I'd have to go back. I think on Baseball Reference, there's a way to look at like ERA by inning. I'll have to research that for the next one and see. But yeah, it does feel that the second time around, especially Falter and Walker, I see a lot that Walker struggles in the first inning a little bit and then settles down. And then the fourth or fifth inning, he blows up again, it seems like. So yeah, that is a problem there. The one thing that's surprising is the defense actually hasn't been that bad. They have the second, tied for the second lowest amount of errors with 12. So everything that was a problem last year kind of isn't anymore. And I think a lot of that is Trey Turner at short, a full season of Brandon Marsh in center, Castellanos being comfortable in the outfield. Hot take, Bohm's probably a better first baseman than Hoskins. So I think those things are helping. So it's not the defense killing the pitching like it was at times last year.
Yeah, and the analytics aren't going to jump off the page with them. But if you look at it last year and how, I mean, and again, this award means absolutely nothing, as we've seen with the example that I'm going to bring up. But Juan Soto was a finalist for a Gold Glove last year. If they use the same criteria right now, you can't convince me that Castellanos isn't on the same pace. Like as of like a week and a half ago or 2 weeks, I don't know if he still does. He like led the league in outfield assists.
Yeah.
Like he hasn't made errors. Again, the outs above average and the defensive run saves aren't going to drop off the page, but like he's proven that he's competent out there and he can be like perfectly average as a fielder and he won't hurt you like Schwarber has been in left field. So I think as we see Bryce get healthier or I don't know how long he's out, maybe like another month and a half, 2 months. Pache gets healthy, you'll start to see the defense get even better as you can mix and match guys. I don't know how many replacements we're going to have because we saw Guthrie on Friday night and he's just not a major league hitter. So I don't know how long they could keep him on the roster as just a guy that you could put in for defense. But I don't think the defense is what's going to hurt them in the long run.
No, it definitely does feel like it won't be a problem because like you said, I think they've put their guys in better spots to be successful. Something that really goes back to the playoffs with Castellanos too. He's a lot better coming into his left. I'm trying to think because it's like backwards the way you watch it.
Into his running in glove side. So they started shading him more towards center field and back a little bit further.
Yeah, so that's helping. And I mean, well, he robbed a home run in the Astros series. And what he said was the first time he ever did that.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. So, I mean, yeah, he's robbing home runs now, which a lot of people would have told you probably would have never happened. So the Castellanos they are getting is a lot more to what they paid for. 13 doubles on the year. I said this before. I don't think he'll ever hit 30 home runs again, but if it's like 20 and he has 40 doubles, I mean, it's the same thing. So
the slugging numbers will be there.
Yeah. So I'm not worried about him. Really quick, let me get this off of here. The standings in the division. So the Braves are 24-11, second best record in baseball. But then after that, no other team is over 500.
Yeah.
The Mets are sliding like crazy, worse than the Phillies, honestly. Now, they're a game better than the Phillies, but they're 3-7 their last 10 and have not looked. They've been just as bad pitching wise, honestly.
They just gave up. I think they gave up a 14 spot to the Rockies the other day.
Yeah, they did, and they got swept by the Tigers too. So things not good with the Mets. The Marlins are back under 500. I think Luis Ariz has kind of cooled off. He was carrying them like crazy for a little bit.
I mean, that team's just going to ride. The Marlins just ride their pitching. They are what they are offensively. Gene's been pretty bad, I believe. I haven't checked in like probably a week and a half, but I know he started really poorly.
Mm-hmm.
And Alcantara's ERA is up there with Nola's, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
One complete game, but
I don't know how much of that is from just that one Philly start where he gave up like 8 runs or whatever it was. I think that
very
is
true.
I think that's killed him bad because he only lasted like 3 innings. So I think his ERA is a little inflated because of that still. But yeah, I know really early, but as it stands, Philly's 2 games out of a wild card spot. The teams currently in the wild card include the Diamondbacks and the Brewers, which I don't know what they are.
I don't trust either.
Yeah, and the Pirates lead the NL Central, which they won today, but they're coming off a 7-game losing streak. They're going to resort back to the mean. They just had a lot of average players play out of their minds the last 3 weeks, and I don't see that being sustained. So I don't know who's going to win the Central because somehow the Cardinals have the worst record in the NL at 11-24, which is crazy. A lot of people picked them to win the World Series this year, and they might not finish above 500. So I'm curious to see what happens with them, and the Mets are kind of the 2 teams. I expect the Diamondbacks and the Pirates to eventually fade off. I think, though, we got to keep our eyes on the Mets. We don't play them till the end of the month.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
We haven't seen them or Atlanta yet.
We see them, of course, the Phillies see them back to back then at the and it's a road trip.
We haven't seen Washington yet either.
Well, here it's all in a row. It's a 10-game road trip, 4 in Atlanta, 3 against the Mets, and then 3 against the Nationals. That's a tough way to end the month. Thankfully, it looks like they're going to be at not full health, but as healthy as they're going to get. I feel like with Suarez coming back, Bilotti, which I don't know. To me, Vasquez and Ortiz look better than Bilotti, but I don't know.
I like Ortiz a lot. Like he's not overpowering. He's like 95, 96, and the off speed's like fine. It's good. Like he just gets guys out, which like our bullpen has a lot of firepower between Soto, Alvarado, Dominguez, even Strahm back there now. Like we have guys who throw hard, get strikeouts. Like when your role is not to say mop up, but like the 5th, 6th, just if a starter doesn't go deep or a starter gets hurt in the middle of the game and you just have to eat up innings until we could get to the big guys, like just get outs no matter whether you're overpowering guys or just pitching to contact. And he's proven that he's more than capable at this level to get outs.
Yeah, Ortiz is an interesting guy because he's only had 14 innings pitched in the big leagues before this year, and he has 10 already with the Phillies. So this is the largest sample size he's ever pitched in a season, which is crazy. And he's given up 3 runs. I think 2 of them were in that one fiasco Dodgers game, which who even cares? But when they've put him in some tough spots, he's come through pretty much every single time. So I like him.
He came in Sunday night, and I think Falter just had the bases loaded, no outs. Falter got 1 out. They pulled him, brought Ortiz in, and he got a double play. I think that was him.
I have to go back and look, I think. But even I mean, Vasquez, too, doesn't strike out a lot of guys, but 16 innings, 1.69 ERA.
He's funky. He could throw guys out.
Yeah, I like those guys more than Bilotti and Nelson right now, I think. I don't know.
My thing with Bilotti, I really wanted him to get the record, and I think the IL kind of threw him off. But there was a point when he was pitching every day, and the post appearances in the season was like 107, and I was like, "Yep, just keep sending him out there. We need something." But yeah, I think that's dead. So yeah, if the record's dead, I'd rather see Ortiz pitch than Bilotti.
Yeah, Bilotti, 10 games, and I think it was 10 through like the first 15 or something like that.
I know he had 7 and 10. I know he started with 7 appearances in 10 games.
Yeah, he was always coming in like the 6th inning when the starter was getting pulled. Yeah, he was always the first guy in. Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen with him and Nick Nelson, but to me, these two other guys have performed better than them in the same role. So I know over the course of a season, these two guys might start to break down. Neither of them have a lot of length on their arms, so to say. They haven't pitched much in the majors before, so I don't know how they're going to hold up, but I don't know. I like them as kind of the first two guys out more than those two, so we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, agreed.
Starting pitching, obviously they're not going to do anything with Nolan Wheeler. It just comes down to them figuring it out. Obviously Suarez, we don't know what he's going to be like yet this year. We'll see on, I think, Friday or Saturday he pitches. Falter, I feel like they got to do something with him. Obviously, Walker's making too much money. Nothing's going to happen there. He's 4 years.
His last start was good too.
Walker. Yeah, he did. He only gave up a run. He looked a lot better. So Falter, though, I don't know what they're going to do. We don't know when Painter will be back. He's supposed to be back, playing in Clearwater games, I think, in June. So the chances of him making it to the majors is the trade deadline. If that, I don't know if you could count on him. So in the meantime, the only other option feels like Mick Abel. And I don't know if they're comfortable doing. He has I think a 2.5 ERA, 5 starts maybe in Reading right now. He hasn't pitched in AAA yet. I don't know if they'll go there, but I don't think they can keep going with Falter at this rate.
I don't think it's worth not ruining, but risking the upside with Abel to rush him to the pros for, I guess, see where you are when that decision has to be made. I feel like that's not something that has to be made now if you were to go the Abel route, but just looking across the league, when the Rangers drafted Jack Leiter, they sent him right to AA, and he got rocked.
Yeah.
And he's been in AA since, and he's continuing to get rocked. And he was a surefire professional ace. And it's just, when you rush young guys like that up through the ranks just to try and expedite them to the majors, or in this case, get them to the majors and have them pitch when Mick's 20, 21. He might have just turned 21. It's
I think he turns 22 in August.
Okay. I still don't think it's worth risking that upside.
Yeah.
Because, last year, I know Painter's rise last year was kind of not out of nowhere, but nobody expected him to be a top 5 prospect and the best pitching prospect.
Right.
Fangraphs had Mick Abel ranked higher than him. So, a lot of executives, a lot of scouts, they love Abel's upside, and I don't think it's worth. Again, you need pitching to compete, but you're paying the lineup a lot of money. You should be able to handle a Bailey Falter start every once in a while.
Yeah, you say handle one every once in a while. They're 0-7 in his starts. He has 6 losses, which I think is the most in baseball right now.
The numbers aren't great as far as his ERA goes, but
I think his run support is two runs.
He gave up. Just the one that comes to mind, the White Sox game. He gave up a 2-run or 3-run homer in the first inning, and then he went the next 5 innings shutout, and he gave you 6 innings of 3-run baseball. If Bailey Falter gives up 3 runs in 6 innings, you should win the game. But the offense got no hit through 7 1/3.
Yeah.
That just, you got to do more when Bailey Falter is giving you that type of game.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was on Saturday during the Fox broadcast. They said his run support is 2 runs a game right now. Yeah. I'm not trying to blame him, but they're 16-19 and 0-7 in his starts. So even if they were 3-4, they're over 500. So I don't want to put the blame on him, but at the same time, I don't think a team that has aspirations of going back to the World Series can let this guy make more than 15 starts this season. And we're already halfway there. And obviously, no one's going to trade with you before July 15th. So I don't know what they do. I also feel like this might be the time to get a legit starter at the deadline instead of these Noah Syndergaards. Who's that dude from the Mets, Vargas, a few years ago? Like they've gotten these number 4s and 5s. Like, get a legit 2 or 3 this time, and
especially if Nola and Wheeler continue to struggle like they are.
Yeah,
but it's just Falter was really good for them last year when Wheeler got hurt. Like, he gave you good August, September starts. So you've seen there's precedent that he can be good. It's just kind of finding tendencies and getting him back to where he was at that point. But yeah, I'm not advocating Falter as an ace. Falter's an ace. He's like, there's no way that you can get rid of him. But like, it was him or Strom, and Strom stuff plays in the bullpen, whereas 90 from Falter in the bullpen doesn't. If it were me, I'd love Strom to be in the rotation.
Yeah.
But I just think when you're looking at the construction of a bullpen and a rotation, Strom being back there just makes more sense than Falter.
Yeah, it for sure does. That wasn't. I know some people like wanted to debate who goes to the bullpen when Ranger came back. I never thought there was much of a question. Strom was brought here to come out of the bullpen anyway, and yeah, his stuff does play way better than Falter's does. And we'll see if Falter in the bullpen helps. I'm sorry, if Strom in the bullpen helps Falter, because maybe opens for him. Maybe he comes in the 4th or the 5th for him and gives you 2, and then then it's the 6th or the 7th, and you could turn over to your big boys. So maybe they just try to piggyback the 2 of them more, and it becomes more effective. I guess we'll see his next start if that's the case. I think that could be the one silver lining for Falter, is that Strom kind of becomes the pickup man for him in these starts.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll see it next start, because I feel like they might kind of rope Strom off and be like, hey, until he gets built up, you're going to piggyback for Ranger.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's come June. I think that's definitely a possibility. Like, hindsight's 2020, but like I said earlier, that would have been perfect on Sunday. Falter gives you 3 perfect. Let Strom go 5th or 6th, and then start bringing in the big dogs. Or Saturday, I guess. That would have been Saturday. But yeah, that's definitely a good option to have going forward, because I don't know. Strom's been awesome. He's just a psychopath.
Yeah. Yeah, he has been. One final thing I'll say is I really want them to stop playing on national TV. I think they're 0-4, maybe 0-5 on Fox Saturday and ESPN Sunday. It's not been good. They just do not win those games for some reason. I don't know why. They just never win them.
Yeah, I'll wait until I have to hear. I'll wait about hearing John Smoltz and Joe Davis until October. I could go without hearing them until then.
Yeah, it seems to go a lot better in the playoffs. It's funny because they won all those playoff games on ESPN and Fox, and I don't think they won on either network throughout the season last year. The only one they won, I think, was when the Angels came to town. That weekend series, Fox did the game and they won like 11-3 or whatever. That's the only time I can remember them actually winning. I think the last time, now this is probably wrong, but the last time I remember them winning Sunday Night Baseball was the opening weekend of 2019 when Kutch led off the game with a home run. That is
like forever ago.
Yeah, now they probably have one since then, but that's the last one I remember.
Yeah, I don't recall too many of these, like, of the Fox broadcasts going well. Sunday Night Baseball, it seems like we were on Sunday night so often early in the season last year.
Yeah, and it was always like against the Mets at Citi Field.
Or the Schwarber's meltdown against the Brewers early on in the season.
Yeah, they were both in April and we lost both of them.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no more Sunday Night Baseball. That would be, and I think they're scheduled to be on a couple more times this year, because that's what happens when you go to the World Series
and spend a lot of money.
Yeah. All right, so we got a 2-game series with Toronto these next 2 days. Interesting pitching matchups, because you got Alek Manoah, who is just as bad as Nola right now going against each other. So we got two guys really looking to figure themselves out going against each other. So that'll be an interesting one. And then kind of the same case the following day with Gausman and Wheeler. So you have 4 really good pitchers with really bad numbers right now going head to head. So I'm really interested to see how these games go, actually.
Yeah, Manoah is just so weird to me. Like, I don't think anything about him is like overwhelmingly good, and I was a little confused as to where like the good year came from last year, because like I watched him pitch a few times. Obviously, we don't see Toronto much as far as like to tune into games, but like
right,
it's not overpowering. It's not like the off speed's like incredible, but he got guys out, and this year I feel like he's been giving up a lot of home runs. So hopefully Schwarber kind of breaking out on Sunday gets him going, and we see a few more of those the next day. And Gausman worries me because I feel like he's just a high strikeout guy, and I feel like that could give our lineup some problems. But I think that the series will be won or lost on the pitching, because the Blue Jays lineup's really good. Springer's been struggling a bit, but like Bichette's been insane.
Chapman's been insane.
And Vladdy might be like, out of those 3, he might be the favorite for the MVP on his own team. And Chapman was like the player of the month, which is crazy. Yeah. So that's just a really deep lineup. They have a lot of other good guys too. Like their catcher's good, whether it's Kirk or Jensen. Dalton Varsho's been good. It's just a really deep lineup. So Nola and Wheeler are going to have to be careful, because you were saying our home runs allowed are in a pretty good spot, and this lineup that's coming in hits a lot of home runs.
Yeah, this is a good test for them. I mean, if they shut down this lineup, I think a lot of people will stop talking about the two of them in a negative sense for the most part. So I am looking forward to that hopefully happening. Just really quick, right after that 6-game road trip out west, which historically the Phillies are awful when they go out west. We just saw it. 3 in Colorado, 3 in San Francisco, 2 teams really struggling. That's where I think you got to try to make up these games out there. Then you come home, Chicago, Arizona, 2 teams that got off to hot starts, I think have cooled down a little bit. So, yeah, that's kind of the stretch you need to make up some games before you go on that 10-game NL East road trip. So that is what I'm looking for throughout the rest of May. They got to make up games within these next 14. I don't know, like 8 and 6. I'll take. I feel like they need to win 9 at least, but we'll see. I guess they do not do well on the road.
Just pray when we play Arizona. Is it in? It's home or at Arizona?
The Arizona is thankfully home.
Okay, well, pray we don't get Zach Allen.
Yeah,
because that dude will have a field day, I think.
Yeah, it's too far in the future to project the starting lineup for that. Right. But yeah, we'll see. Hopefully not. So we'll keep an eye on that. Maybe we'll probably talk before then, but we'll see. All right, so that's gonna do it for this one. We'll see you guys next time.